Welcome to the show. My name is Joey Galvez, and I'm here with my pal Ben Morris. And we have a couple guests. We have Frank Martin and Kevin Hinkle here on the show. We're going to talk to them about their great campaigns that are going on. I don't know what the heck Frank Martin's here for. I don't know. He's folding his laundry, but I don't know why he's here. I
wandered into the studio.
Laundry stain.
he came to use my dryer, and I was like, all right, dude, let's just since you're here, hang out with us. So how you guys doing?
Good,
doing good. I'm very impressed by that intro.
I'm ready to rethink my entire live streaming strategy.
My intro is it's laughable compared to that. But I'm proud of it.
Thank you to Ben. Ben is the genius behind that intro. Listen, I'm telling you guys, behind stage we were talking a little bit stuff, and I was telling you guys Benjamin has elevated me so much, and so yeah, definitely thank you to Ben for that amazing work.
Excellent work.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just trying to make it look as much like a Sports Center as I could.
It was great. I'm like, what? I was like, man, I gotta rethink. What am I doing, Kevin? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing over here? That's great. So,
I did actually almost intern at ESPN in college.
So cool.
Destiny.
Actually, no, I was gonna work out there, but they pay like peanuts, and it costs an arm and a leg to live in Bristol, Connecticut, which is
that's where I'm at. I am not far away from Bristol, Connecticut at all.
Cool. Yeah, I think my dad still hasn't forgiven me.
That's hilarious.
Quite the coup.
I'm breaking stuff over here. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about your stuff.
About sports, but
great. Let's talk. Yeah, this is not a sports show. Frank, what do you got, pal? What do you got going on, man?
I have my first superhero story live. I've done over 20 campaigns, and I haven't done a superhero story yet, but this is the first one.
Tell us about it.
It's called Our Hero Phenom. It's a one-shot, and it's about a shape-shifting superhero, typical Superman archetype, who goes from planet to planet, but he pretends to be from the native population of that planet. So he looks like everybody he's trying to save, and things go badly when he arrives on a planet and it's destroyed, and he has to figure out what happened and why.
I'm just grabbing the links here for Ben really quick.
Yeah, I've got them up. I figured we'd do our quick intros, and then when we got in depth, we'd throw them on screen.
I'm looking at this behind stage for a second. Excuse me. I'm totally into this, man. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
Kevin. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say if I wanted to do a superhero story, I wanted to put like a weird twist on it. You know,
it's just like Frank Martin would. Kevin, let's talk a little bit about yours. Tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, so I'm actually in the works of trying to launch the second volume of what I call the Doodle Book. So it's my prop. Can I have my prop, please? Thank you, myself. So here's Doodle Book Volume 1. I'm putting together Doodle Book Volume 2. So what I do, this is not necessarily a comic book. I know probably we have a lot of comic book fans, but I am a full-time freelance artist, and I do a lot of live streaming. So for the last 5 years running, I have been live streaming consistently every week on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and I take viewer requests. And so I've drawn over 2,000 people's requests over the last 5 years, and I figured why not put it in a book and finally get it out into the ecosystem. So I did this in 2022, and I've amassed another 1,000 drawings, and I figured let's do another one. So it's a collection of viewer requested, I call them doodles because they're all drawn live. They're all on viewer requests, and they're quick. So it's not high polish. It's not Mona Lisa's in here, but I try my best. And it's a nice collection from a lot of different subject matters, a lot of different genres, some silliness, of course, a lot of fan art, but also some wackiness and streaming stories, and just stuff from the experience of watching an artist draw stuff live and interacting in that ecosystem. So it's kind of like a nice art book.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. I love things that are kind of, I consume everything, right? We consume a lot of things, and I love this kind of stuff and thinking outside the box. And I love the different sizing of that you have there too. It's gorgeous. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We're gonna go through everybody's campaigns here. Frank, since we kicked off with you, man, tell us a little. We're gonna go through your campaign. And as we do so, tell us a little bit about it.
So I got about 5 days left, coming up on the goal.
Oh, dang.
I knew it was going to be hard because everybody says if you're going to make an indie comic, don't make an indie superhero comic. That's like because superheroes seem to be dominated by very popular characters who everybody knows. But I couldn't resist. I'm a sucker for punishment, and I'm having a good time with it because it's a book that I'm really proud of. I hope to write big 2 superhero stories one day, so I want to give people an idea of what I can do in the genre.
Yeah, one thing I've read, I'd say probably I think about half of the issue a few months ago, and I was really struck with you had a really good pacing on your big twists that I thought was really. You start off with kind of an archetypal scene. Right when you were getting comfortable with it, you threw a wrench into it, and then an even bigger surprise that kind of sets the rest of the story in motion. Not only were those really cool twists, I thought they happened at like just the right time. One person I was back when Scarlet Twilight came out, I got a nice review from somebody who's saying like, right when I thought this was just going to be pastiche, something weird happened, and I thought that was really evident in this book. Like right when you were like with it, but like, okay, I wonder what's going to be different. Something happens like just the second you're starting to think that, which I thought was really awesome.
I wanted to lean heavily into like the superhero nostalgia. I wanted people to know while reading it, this is a superhero book, and I'm going to peel away the layers of that onion. So it starts out like really classic. I even have in order to give that feel, you could see in the cover, I did a Superman homage. There. Action Comics #1 homage cover, except I just alienified it, it just got kind of weird with it. And you did a great job, Ben, on the logo to give that like superhero, that immediately comes off when you see the logo, and I want people to know like this is my superhero story. So I like it.
Yeah. Shameless plug. If you guys are looking for logo work, let us know.
Ben's done a couple for me. He's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. A lot of people saying a lot of nice things about me today, so it's been a good week. I'm liking it.
Hey, it's St. Patty's Day, man. You're lucky today.
Actually, not any not Irish at all.
I didn't want to go there, but I was like, is this guy Irish in any?
No, I Bernie's. I was out doing yard work and cleaning up our chickens area yesterday, so I'm pretty sunburned. And see how you'd make that mistake.
I love that swing and a miss.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Another thing I didn't do for this book though was, like you were saying, Ben, in the beginning, there's no like captions. I find a lot of big 2 books, the characters always talking. There's a lot of narration. I kind of ran in the opposite direction of that. I wanted to make this a very like lonely opening to the book, filled with isolation, because he's flying from planet to planet and they're pretty far. So he's got this lonely life where he can't form any attachments, unlike Superman did, because he doesn't really keep any roots. So that's another part of the story that I really dug.
No, that came across when you first reveal. I mean, I don't think I'm giving anything away by that you haven't said.
These pages that we're talking about, they're actually the bottom of the campaign.
Oh, okay.
Should probably mention
when
that.
I scroll down too far, I end up in the other
They're
stuff.
gorgeous. I'm looking at them now. Holy man, these are awesome.
Yeah. So as soon as he flies into space, he's kind of living his own life by himself, and he goes from one planet to the next, trying to blend in.
Gorgeous. Oh my
One of the cool things, I can't take credit for this, but one cool idea is that after I workshopped my script, somebody had an awesome idea to every planet he goes to. His name is Phenom. That's what they call him, but the pronunciation is different. Like it's going to be alien a little bit, like PH-N or something. Just like mess with it. So I thought that was a cool detail.
That's great.
That I brilliantly thought up by myself. Nobody else gave me that.
Yeah. No, it's. I remember thinking that this is the twist I was kind of referring to earlier. He has this kind of Superman scene. He thanks him. He flies off, and there's this stretch where it does get quiet, and then right when you're kind of waiting for this to happen, he you're kind of thinking like, my suspicion that was some spaceship was going to just crash out of warp speed, and if I'm like something was clearly going to happen, and then this happened, and I thought that was really cool. It was really cinematic, and it just worked really well. I loved it.
Nice.
So other than just playing with like the superhero motif, it's also a very alien book because he looks as human. Human is the main cover. Being human is what he stands up front. So it's like how we kind of look at him, but that's not how he looks. You know, that's not his true form. So because he's a shape-shifting alien, because he's constantly blending in, I really wanted to lean into not just the superhero aspect of it, but the science fiction aspect of it, because it's a very high concept kind of sci-fi premise.
Yeah, and I think you work with that really well. Like just the you know, you instantly can tell you're going to start to focus on like, well, why does he do this? That needs an answer. You know, and then just kind of what you said, the remoteness of it is one of those things you extrapolate out in any good science fiction concept and say, okay, well, what does this do to people? What causes it? All that stuff. And then I think what shapes up, I think, to be the conflict is one of his planets. It didn't work out so well that he was traipsing around from place to place. He wasn't given any one place maybe the attention it needed, and that's going to have some pretty bad effects for him as well.
Yeah. And the thing I like about, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the ending too much, but as far as why he does that, and that's the book does answer that question, but it doesn't definitively answer it. So it gives you enough evidence for you to come to your own conclusion. And I love stories that two readers can walk away from and have two totally different thoughts about. So I'm excited to see what people think of it.
Yeah, I think people are going to really. I think once people read this and start posting about it, you're probably going to end up having to do a lot more of this. So I hope you have some more superhero ideas.
That's what I did. That's what happened with Macabre Motel. It was a one shot that I did back in 2020, and everybody loved it. And the question I got was, "Are you going to do more?" And that question kind of just stayed in my head until I had a good idea, and then I said, "Yeah," because it was always no. Like I have no follow up. But if enough people ask and it sparks something, then I'll run with it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was with Scarlet Twilight. I always intended for it to be just a miniseries one-shot deal, but it got a good response. My other book, I had a little more trouble getting off the ground, and I had like some rough ideas, but it just germinated for a while, and then I kind of had a few different things come together. I'm like, yeah, that would be worth doing. That would be cool, and you know, kind of worth taking it out and doing it again.
You can't force it. If it comes across when you force it, people know. So you just got to let these things develop naturally.
Yeah, and I love this concept, right? And I understand we kind of talked a little bit about when people are like, okay, you're gonna do a comic book, don't do a superhero comic book on Kickstarter. Like, this is my thing when it comes to when people say those things like that. I'm like, well, yeah, right, but at the same time, you can't really land on any one thing on Kickstarter, right? Because if it's an ecosystem, it's always moving and growing and doing different things, right? That's what it means to be an ecosystem, right? So I think here's what it is: if you're doing something good and people want it, they're gonna get it, right? Looking at this, you're close to your funding goal already. You already knew that. Yeah, I'm not gonna put a 10K sticker on this thing. I just want a couple $1,000s to move the production forward, right? And then you got 116 people that are checking it out right now, so it's doing pretty well for this to be one of those superhero books on Kickstarter.
It's all about expectations. You know, when people complain, it's because they're not really having the biggest expectations of the book that they're bringing to market. So for instance, my campaign before this, it was an all ages horror where the wild things are. Did a lot better. I knew it was going to do a lot better because it's just one of those things that could do well on the platform. I understood that superhero books right now, at least, aren't doing as well on the platform. So I'm not like going to beat myself up over it. At the same time, I had a superhero story to tell. I'm not going to not tell it just because I think it's not going to do as well. It's like inside of me. I wanted to do it and I did it. So yeah, I think as long as you balance those two things, backers are going to resonate with the work you put out.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely.
At least that's the idea.
Well, I think also you mentioned that you hope you're going to do some big 2 stuff eventually. I think this is a really strong pitch for not just having a good concept that'll kind of impress an editor, which
But
I feel like
ideas.
editors, maybe from what I hear, are a little too. Sometimes I see stuff that's got a great high concept pitch, and I'm like, that's cool. I can see why that got you, a meeting, but it's not necessarily something I want to live with for like a 10, 15 issue run as a reader. Sometimes I just want meat and potatoes Batman. I don't want him to be going through the Spider-Verse, fighting alternate versions of himself and whatever. That's fine too. I'm not going to knock it. I don't want to knock it, but
there's
not only do you have a high concept, but you pace it really well. Like I said, like you're giving people, I think, everything they want, but you're also answering that like this isn't just like a more of the same type of thing. So I think it's going to be a great statement as far as that goal goes too.
When I tell a story, I don't want to like jump on an exercise bike and just ride in the same place. If I'm going to ride a bike, I want to actually go somewhere. So that's kind of how I look at putting a story. Was that good? I thought that was good. Was that a good analogy?
That was you were something of a wordsmith.
That's Frank Martin. All right. Kevin, let's talk a little bit about your campaign. Let's pull that one up, and let's kind of look through it a little bit and all this stuff.
So yeah, as I mentioned earlier on, I do a lot of live streaming. So freelance artist, I'm kind of anywhere and everywhere, wherever people will give me money to make stuff so I can eat. We all like to eat, right? We like to eat, and so I do quite a bit of live streaming, and I started that off back in January of 2019. On YouTube, and it's migrated since then. Instagram Live, Facebook, Twitch, all these different platforms, and I mean it's a big thing. People want live streaming content. Look what we're doing right now. This is what they want. They want live streaming content, and so I tried to figure out what's a way I can marry together art and brand building and audience engagement and practicing my craft, and like what's a thing that I can get all this together. And so I started doing viewer request live streams. Like swing on by my live stream, drop in the chat. You want, like, for example, we're looking at a time lapse of the tiger. You want me to draw a tiger? I'll draw a tiger for you. And that's probably 15 minutes because I try to keep it going really quick because people don't have a very long attention span on live streams. They come in and they go, draw me Batman. And you better draw that Batman or they're done and they're out. Right?
That's a doodle?
Yes. Yep.
Please. It's not a doodle.
Thank you. Hey, flattery will get you everywhere. So, and I mean, to be honest, to be fair, if you go back, because like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years. If you go back to some of the earlier episodes, we keep those in the vault. All right, we refine the craft as the years go on. We've actually, because I've done it so long, and some people come in and they ask for the same things, right? I'm like, yeah, we can draw that again because that one wasn't so hot last time, so we'll try again. But I'm always trying to keep it quick.
And you get a following too when you're doing this on Twitch, especially if you're just like doing it on Twitch. There's a lot of people who do this kind of stuff with art, and they just people just call out one thing and then they will do it in that one stream, or they'll do multiple in a stream, and then you'll even have people that'll go live for 5 hours and do like a few of them, right? And people do pop in and out, but you have this, you kind of create this following. And you kind of start to see the same kind of people come in your stream, and they're usually the people that will obviously they're becoming your base. And that's all this is. And I got a couple of people that I watch to do this stuff, and I jump in, and sometimes and then it's fun interacting with people and talking straight to them in the chat, and they have a whole conversation with you, and it's a thing, right? And it becomes this stuff. It's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun, and these live streams they create their own culture, right? Like we're talking about, they have an audience, they have a following, and like you have the inside jokes, right? When people come back week after week after week, and those end up in the book. And then you go through, and of course, like this is a great example because you got some classic animation and some cartoon characters and stuff.
I saw a holiday special Boba Fett on there.
Oh yeah, of course. That. I mean, people.
Is that guy by your pinky the guy from the Centurions?
I don't remember. Also, I don't always know what I'm drawing. I'm just told to draw it, and I Google it, and I go, "You got it." And I put it together. I'm like, I don't know what this is. But
you know what this reminds me of?
You get some
when I was a
silliness, too.
kid, I had a very big piece of construction paper, and I
Yeah.
basically drew like a big battle scene of all my favorite characters that did not
There you
belong
go.
in the same scene together.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at this. I'm like, this is all over the place, and it just looks like a kid's doodle book. It looks awesome.
Hey, branding. I got it right. So this is a doodle book. But yeah, we've also done. So here's an example. Hopefully you guys can. Yeah. So we've got, this is a robotic octopus with a pumpkin pie for its head consuming itself.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, Kevin, why on God's green earth did you draw it? Because someone came to my live stream and told me to draw it. That's why that happened, right?
It's a metaphor for life.
And that's why we need you as the author here. I just draw pretty good.
I interpret the madness.
You're doing great at it. And then we also have, you start to, again, leaning into the live stream culture, you start to gamify things, right? You have redeems, you have currency built into these platforms. Like Twitch has currency when you're watching these.
And then every time you interact or talk to somebody,
you can use stuff, you can make on-screen alerts and stuff. So you have things like, and I'm trying to tie all this stuff into art. Right? How does this come back to me? And what? So like, people can save up their channel points on Twitch, which I call exposure bucks, to kind of play on the whole artist working for exposure. So you get paid in exposure. The icon is a Monopoly dollar. And so then they can say, challenge me to like a 60-second drawing. So these are in 60 seconds only. So like, draw Totoro, draw Batman. I mean, they're awful. Let's we don't need to be, it's okay. They're terrible.
Luigi's pretty good.
I kind of cheated by just drawing the head.
I like the Akira bike. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh man. So I stress out on these too sometimes, but so the book, again, I've done one already. And I wanted to have a follow-up to it because like I said, I've got another 1,000 drawings and I'd like to pool these together in a nice little collaborative book. It's a 100-page book. It's basically following the same thing as the first one. So it's just, it's the sequel, it's the follow-up volume. But the thing I just find really, really cool about it is, every single thing in this book was drawn live. There's video evidence. It's on the Twitch channel. It's archived on YouTube. Everything was asked by someone to draw it. And it's a really cool representation of hundreds of people over the course of years, right? And you look through it, you're like, this is a very eclectic mix here, Kevin. You're like, I didn't pick any of those. It's like, that's all what somebody, and I especially, it appeals a lot to kids too. Kids, like when I go to Comic-Cons and so on, kids love to just sit and flip through this book. Like parents will leave their kids at my table. And I'm like, that's fine if you buy a book when you leave. But they will just, they get like entranced in it. I donated a couple of these to my son's school, and the teacher was like,
very cool.
The kids love it, and they like seeing the silly pictures. Like, you have pictures of butts and stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah. So, but yeah, this is a collection of just about 1,000 new drawings since the last volume came out, and it's all live, all viewer request drawings.
That's very cool. And I love that. I sometimes when I'm working, I like to watch streamers and things of that nature when I'm, because I sit here and I design stuff too, and it's one of those things, and a lot of times there are other artists who also do live streams and stuff like that.
It's a vibe, isn't it? It's a vibe.
It's a whole thing. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
We get a lot of artists. I'm included in it. We're like, we'll listen to another artist live stream, and we don't watch anything they do. It's just we have it up and we're listening to them, and it's like the whole gimmick is that here you are sharing your screen or you're sharing your camera and drawing it, and we're not watching any of it. We just listen, and it's like something about the camaraderie of we're both artists, we're both working, we're listening to each other, we can relate to it, but I don't care what you're drawing. It's like, I'll just listen to it.
My jealousy for that is what started my live stream show, which is right now. I take a partner and we alternate writing a story. You write one sentence, I write the next one.
That's awesome.
And we do it live. We share the Google document. And that started because I'm super jealous of coming on all these streaming shows and somebody's drawing. I'm like, what can I do? I'm going to type.
Well, you know what's so funny? Speaking of that, so this is a little bit it's not quite relating to this, but so I also do kids books. And so I have this kids book that I did, the author's in Boston, but this is a children's book called The Pro Gamer's Guide to Healthy Habits. I drew it, and he was the author. Every time I go to a show, every time. Everyone's super disappointed I didn't write this. Every single, they're like, "That's so cool. Did you write that?" No. Oh. Every time he goes to a show, they're like, "That's so cool. Did you draw the pictures?" It's like, no. Like no matter what, no matter where we're at, it's like the opposite thing is the more appealing thing in the event setting that we're at.
Well, that's a metaphor for life. Like
this is why you're here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah,
this is why I write and draw.
This it all, and I'm not a very I'm not a very good writer. I try. I've done a couple things, but I'm like when I make up stories, I'm like, this is my good guy and this is my bad guy, and the bad guy does things because he's bad.
That's good too,
and that's our hero.
See, I feel like I've got it worse when I go to a con because I'm not there selling. I'm just there selling somebody else's stuff. They're like, "Oh, did you do this?" I'm like, "No." "Oh, is the artist here?" "No." They're like, "Oh, we'll see you later."
Yeah,
I'm
it's like they're super disappointed. You're like, wow.
Yeah,
this is a sale. Like, dang.
I literally had somebody come to a table once and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not into comic books." I'm like, what are you here for?
What, are you?
They were walking
here to
down
talk about golf.
Are you lost?
Right?
What is this?
They were walking down Artist Alley too. Comic
you
book.
should have just been like, the bathroom is right there. I know you were looking for it.
Amazing.
Food courts around the corner.
Yeah, there's some pretzels over there. They're pretty good.
They have pizza right over here.
Incredible.
I was like, wow, it was nuts. I was like, what the hell are you here for? Anyway, let's go ahead and let's go and switch gears here. Before we do that, let's play our All Ages of Geek sponsored video here. We'll real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about them on the other side.
Click that mouse and warp into All Ages of Geek's website, your ultimate portal to everything geek culture. Here you'll find articles that speak your language, from the latest anime buzz to the coolest tech trends. Our mission? To celebrate geekdom in all its glory. Whether you're a gamer, a comic enthusiast, a 90s kid, or an anime aficionado, we've got something for you. Dive deep into them with All Ages of Geek.
All right, thank you guys for coming back. That is our friends over at All Ages of Geek. They do all kinds of really cool stuff. It's geek culture. They are really leaning into a lot of the really cool anime stuff and TTRPG stuff. They are actually creating one of their own from their own kind of TTRPG storylines and things of that nature. They're creating a comic book. They have webtoons and all that cool stuff. They also have interviews and articles and all kinds of really fun stuff. They also interview comic creators. So if you guys are wanting to talk to them a little bit, you guys could definitely do that as well. Reach out to them. They are partnered with us on this issue of Archetypes that we have live now on Kickstarter. They wrote a really cool article about how they develop their characters and what they're going to do with that character in those worlds, and give you guys a little bit of tips on how you guys can use all these different really cool things to do the same thing if you guys were into creating a character design for your tabletop gaming or your comic books. So check them out at allagesofgeeks.com. So let's switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about the business side of these things, right? Because we have to, when we're thinking about these things, we have to think about price points. We have to think about what people will actually pay for these things, and what kind of goals that we're going to have to put into these things. And there's so much things that go on besides just, showing people the artwork. So Frank, since we started with you last time, we're going to go to Kevin and talk to him a little bit about the price points.
Disappointment.
I know, right? I saw that too. It's like, no, it was my turn. It was my turn. Because you look like you were anticipating. I had to throw you on your toes.
Visible disappointment.
So when I'm answering your question, I have to rev up. It doesn't just happen automatically. So
all right, I'll rev you up here in a second, buddy. You know I like to do that. Kevin, let's talk to you a little bit about these price points, because you got some really cool stuff here. Talk to us a little bit about what you were thinking about when you were going into marketing this thing on Kickstarter.
Sure. So admittedly, a lot of this is pulled from the first time I did it, right? So I did the first one, which the one I did in 2022 was really like my inaugural campaign. Like I had never done one before. I had been a collaborator on two, but mostly as like, hey guys, I'm the illustrator. Here's my picture next to the drawings. I let the author really drive the campaign and really put all that time. And first and foremost, man, is it a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do a Kickstarter campaign. It may look like you just type a lot of stuff in it and you put a pretty picture and you press go live, but boy howdy, it's a lot of work. So I was.
So how did you brainstorm this whole thing? What was your first step? Let's talk a little bit about these steps. What was your first step when you actually you got this, you thought about it, you had to have a concept, and did you take it to paper? What did you do next?
Right. So firstly, I had spent years this is where all my fellow artists throw me over the coals, but these are like sketches, and we joked about it earlier. Like I've considered a lot of them not good enough because I've spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours producing highly polished books and posters, and like these are sketches I do on the internet in 15 minutes. So I've always kind of been hesitant to like put them in print form, but like after enough people wouldn't leave me alone, they're like, Kevin, the people, we want it, we demand it. So I was like, okay, so I'll put it together. I'll pool it together in some kind of collection, right? I see you, Sue. All right. Okay. So I was like, okay, we need a book, right? It clearly needs to be a book. I kind of toyed around with doing a poster, but then it becomes like a Where's Waldo thing, and I tried it. It didn't super sell well, so I'm like, all right, we're done. Also took a lot of time to try to put 1,000 drawings together in a big. I did it. Yeah. It wasn't.
And then you got to think about how you ship it. Are you going to buy tubes?
Oh yeah. Tubes, flat mailer. What are we doing? And so I was like, we're going to put together a book. And also I was, in a good spot that I'd worked with other people making their books. That I'm like, can I ask you how to do this, because I don't know what I'm doing. So they were able to give me recommendations on printers, so I can look into prices of how much is this going to cost me, where do I need to start, and even then, having people give me, advice on where they would set a goal to cover shipping and to cover printing, all that. I still learned a lot from the last one, where I was like, yeah, I need to bump this a little bit, because this was costing me a lot of money to do this. And so it was, I relied a lot on people that had done this already, on drafting Kickstarter campaigns, running Kickstarter campaigns, and making books, because I really didn't know where to start. I just draw pretty pictures, and I'm like, how do I put this into a book?
I can't tell you how insulting it is that you think these are not good enough.
Here we go again, Sue.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. So Frank, tell us a little bit. Is he lying there, Frank?
I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
Is it the same for you? How do you come up with this? Because I know you've done this for a little while.
I've done over 20 campaigns. I do 6 a year.
Yeah, you're a veteran. I'm.
But what you say is true. There is a trickle down method in that one generation of creators is constantly giving tips to the next generation. I wouldn't know how to do this unless I learned from people, and then I made a ton more mistakes, and I tell those to people that are just starting. Yeah. So there is definitely a building to the knowledge base of creators doing this, and it thrives on just people giving out tips, in Discord channels and Facebook groups. And the comics community, I write novels too, and I like to compare the two communities. The comics community is way more, let's just say, helpful in terms of offering advice and being open to give tips. Also, because they're just so much more involved in doing comics. So you write novels, and you kind of send it to a publisher and hope that they do something to it. With this, if you're self-publishing, which is a legitimate form of publishing in comics, it's a process, and you need to know how much the books cost, how much to ship, as you're saying. Doesn't matter if it's an art book or a comic, you're still running a business essentially. And it's you need to learn
and which is why we wanted to create something like Archetypes. All right, Archetypes is our geek culture magazine, right? We wanted to create something that we love. Obviously, we love comic books, but we also love geek culture, and we love all these different things, because we have more loves and vices than just comic books, right? So what we did with this was we obviously we put together the comic book. We have 3 new unreleased comic books, from really great Kickstarter teams. And then we also had people write articles and talking about tips and tricks of the trade and helping things that you can actually use to put together your own campaign. Like if you are first timer and you are trying to kind of dip your toe into this thing, we will have all kinds of really cool stuff inside this. So there's an article there that I actually asked Lindsay, who is she's the editor in chief over at Oneshi Press. She's writer for Rolling Stone in the back, and then she's also written for she's working with IDW and Penguin Random House right now as an editor. So amazing stuff, right, that she's done. So she kind of guides some of these things and helps us do these things. But I asked her about how important media kits were, and we kind of go down and break down exactly why media kits are super important, and what is actually going to be inside those things. And we actually kind of help you and tell you exactly how to keep it organized, and to the point to where you're even numbering each file, so that when the person on the media person on the other end is receiving it, they know exactly what to go for first, right? If you want to give them a press release first, and then your bios, and then your social media links, and then maybe some other publications, right? And you have folders that are organized just for those things, so that when they get it, they don't have to go anywhere else. We want to make it to where we have one place for them to go. They don't have to Google you. It's all right there, right in front of them at their fingertips, because the faster that they are able to learn about you, the faster they are going to be able to write that article for you, or kind of cover you. And that's what you want, right? Because you want them to learn about you fast and quick and easy, and then get that article out as quick as possible, so that it can benefit all of us together. So we're going to go through that on this thing. So that's a really cool thing, right? And we have all kinds of other stuff. We also have a person who, our friend over at Pesto Comics, who wrote an article guiding you through your first draft of your first script. So and then we're also going to ask him to continue to that, and getting you to the next step after you have that, because now you have your first draft. What do you do with it, right? So now he's going to, in issue 2, we're going to continue that and talk to you a little bit about how to do that.
That's awesome.
And then what's cool about this is, not only are you going to get physical media with that, we're also going to do really cool stuff for the digital tiers, where we offer you these things. We're actually going to give you some templates on how to actually write your first press release or your first media kit and build it together, because we want everybody to be able to benefit from this, right? So we're going to give you media kit guides. We're going to give you checklists of what to go through and how to build your first Kickstarter campaign, and we're going to make it simplify every single thing, so that it's not so daunting when you dip your toe into this crowdfunding space. And so what we did was, we gathered all those people that were willing to share the wealth of knowledge about Kickstarter, because all the things that they've done, we put them and gathered them into this campaign and put it into this magazine. And hopefully it's going to do something that we want it to do. Just like we're like, hey, we went to this person to ask them about their price points and things like that. Well, we're going to put these things inside this magazine, and we're going to continue to do that, hopefully at least twice a year. So that's what this whole thing's all about. And that's basically what we do as a business as well. We help people with all of those things as well. So it was only this kind of, it was like, okay, perfect, we need to do this. This is exactly what we need to do. So this is the first step into a 10-year plan that we have. Eventually, we're hopefully going to try to build a kind of like curriculum, or like kind of this accelerated program, and use some of these things that we are given, some of these things away into this magazine, and build off of those things as well. So much ambitious, right? Plans, right? But when we plan these things out, you got to do what you can, right? Like we were talking about with you, Frank. You were saying, you have to understand what it's worth, right? You have to understand the price. You can't. I know that this is gonna be like a 3K, Kickstarter. I'm not gonna put a 10K price point on it, right? Because then now I'm, maybe biting off too much than I could chew, right? And then you're gonna fail, then it's just gonna be too crazy, and it's gonna hurt you, right? So, what better way to do this and use something that the best tool in your tool belt?
Yeah, when you execute a plan, it helps to have good expectations. Like if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're getting into, then it's a good business decision. And if it far exceeds what you wanted to do, you have to figure out why. I mean, that's great, but you don't want to just be in the lurch about like why was it successful or the other way. If it failed miserably, you have to wonder why it didn't hit that goal. And that's just a matter of experience and asking questions. And you have to separate.
So what do you do with those numbers? What do you do if you had a less successful campaign and a more successful campaign? What does Frank Martin do with those numbers?
I mean, see, the problem is I don't do much.
Well, that's perfect.
I follow my heart when I create a campaign rather than my head. So I'm like, if I come up with an idea and I'm not that into it, and I know it's going to be terrible on Kickstarter, I'm not going to follow it. But if I have an idea I really love, and I don't think that there's going to be a place for it on Kickstarter, and I'm still going to go ahead and find some other avenue for it because I like to write what I like to write, and I write stories for me, not for my audience, and that's a problem when you are trying to make money. So
that's true. That is true.
So I have the knowledge. I just sometimes choose to ignore it because I don't know. I'm a dog chasing cars. So
this is we have. I mean, this is probably super familiar to a lot of people. We have so many conversations, in the artist community about the whole fan art versus original art, and it's like so many. I think probably an overwhelming amount would say I would love to draw more original art if people bought it. But they don't. They want Batman and Superman and all their favorite IPs. And it's like, it's this constant struggle where you're like, I know I have it a lot where it's like, yeah, I'd love to just make up my own stuff and I've done it. But it's like, I also need to feed my children. It's like, I gotta give them what they want.
The problem with being a writer is I can't exactly write a Batman novel.
Well, I mean, hey,
actually, somebody's got their
you and me
fan
and the
fiction
internet.
Supergirl comic.
It's become a bit of a controversy. I'm sure Ben, you're about to talk about the Supergirl comic.
Yeah.
So there's a Supergirl comic on Kickstarter right now, and Kickstarter has a big Project We Love badge on it, and people are wondering like, should this really be up there because it's making a lot of money off of somebody else's character?
Oh, is it a fanfic?
It was a fanfic that I think it was posted somewhere for free online, and they decided to collect it. And they write on there.
A couple months ago, there was a fanfic Power Rangers one as well. So, so
it's weird when some stuff is pulled and others isn't. But they write right on the campaign. They say, we are not making any money on this, but it's kind of like, okay, trust us.
Source, trust me.
It's tough. I mean, it's all in, and I've paid my money. I've met with a copyright attorney. Everything I do is illegal. I get it. It's like, it's just how it is. But it's like, it is such a gray area, and something is penalized and something isn't, and something's okay and something's not, and this is enforced at that show and that show doesn't enforce it. And it's just like everyone just kind of throws your hands up and you're like, well, and it's like, because same thing with artists and with writers. I mean, I love to just draw my own stuff and just the silly little things I want, but it's like, it's not what people want.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope, and it's really weird, and I don't know. This is,
and we had a really interesting conversation at Fan Expo Boston. So it was at Fan Expo Boston. I know, I'm aware. I turn on the pixelation and the voice modulation. So, but we had a really interesting conversation with some of the account managers at Fan Expo in Boston because, we're reaching the era where we've got full-fledged artist tables that are all AI. The whole booth, the whole table is AI. Wow. And you get into the conversation of it's like, well, that shouldn't be allowed because that's all stolen from the artist. And then the artists are like, then the big companies are like, but all of you are stealing all of our stuff. And it's just like this, and I was there, I was present when a lot of these heated conversations were happening on the floor with some of the account managers. And they're like, yeah, but we'd have to ban you too. Like
Yeah,
that's the
because
same argument. Like
you're like, come on, buddy, your whole table is prints of these Disney characters.
And I mean, there are a few shows. There's not many, but there are a few shows that just straight up they're like original art only, or else you can't have an artist. It's not many. It's like a few, but yeah, it's just constant. It's the constant battle. It's the constant battle with your soul and your morality and your bank account.
I think that's also a really big thing to put on shows too. Is, I mean, I think artists, we can kind of tell when something looks like AI. I don't think a lot of other people.
No,
the quite the same.
The Johnny Q public. No, it's great. Beautiful.
So they're not gonna. That would get wild.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's been some art out there lately in the last week or so that people are questioning.
We're getting into it.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to was so obvious, though, that it was just like everybody kind of. I think people's visual literacy is getting better. There's certain types of layouts that kind of scream that.
Sure.
And
there's certain tells sometimes.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do notice, but I also feel really bad for artists that have like a style that like every now and then I see something I know the artist created. I've been following their work for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that really looks like AI.
Yeah.
Damn.
The problem is it's getting so good so fast.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It wasn't as good like months and months and months ago.
Well, it's because you know what people are doing, right? What they're doing is they're drawing out their sketches or their rough lines or their clean lines even, right? They're taking their skill so far and then letting AI take over. And then it looks like it looks like, okay, that looks like it could be human, and then you're like, but this looks off, but it does. So now you're like, confused, but it's because people are, now that they have some skill, but they're taking it so far and then letting it take over, and that's getting scary.
Well, and we were actually, so I did a live stream earlier today, and we were talking about this, about what really hurts my soul, what like genuinely makes me upset is when you discover, or they're called out, these companies that are almost entirely reliant on artists and creatives, like a Wacom, like Adobe Photoshop, and then they get caught using it. And it's like your entire business model is reliant on utilizing and partnering with creative people. And
they're worried about that at Adobe. They're worried that, like, wait a second, we're going to put all these people out of work.
People we sell products to, and it's I mean, there's a lot of folks that are calling it out, like, different brands of like stylus pens and stuff that are getting caught. And it's like, what are we doing, folks? Yeah, that's my. What are we doing? What are we doing?
The problem is it's hard to put Pandora back in her box.
Yeah.
Or I should say, wait, Pandora didn't come out of the box.
Where there's no AI art is in the Doodlebook Volume 2, which is currently available on Kickstarter.
Bring it full circle, folks. That's how you do it.
Let's okay. Now that reminds me, it is time to talk a little bit about since we're still talking a little bit about marketing, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about shipping and shipping prices and all this stuff. I see. I think I saw Frank said that you're doing free shipping on some of your stuff, right? So
that's the trick, where you say it's free shipping, but you just build shipping and right into the tier.
There you go. Because if it was a $12 standard,
I personally am not a big fan when you see the number and you click it and you're like, oh, I got to add $7 onto this. Yeah. It makes it easier. So yeah, I offer free shipping on all rewards.
Nice.
Free domestic shipping. It's all within the United States.
But you also have to think about what you're shipping it in. What do you use, Frank?
I use Gemini mailers. When I first started,
we love Gemini. We love Gemini because we are sponsored by Gemini. And you guys are able to get a 10% off coupon at checkout. Just use Geek Collective 10 at checkout, and you will be able to use that and save today because we are an official partner with Gemini.
Always a salesman.
The only thing that was missing was
really sprung that one on.
High horns on that, and you're set. You are set. That is perfect.
When I first started, I was using bubble mailers, and I would put cardboard in there. And at some point, I realized that is a lot of work. And
Yeah.
Geminis are too at first, but you know what? If you do enough of them at this point, I'm just like, I'm watching TV and I'm not even thinking. I'm just like, so
Yep.
that's how you.
I will let you guys know that was
$100
not set up. That was not set up. That was completely off the cuff.
This
I
is
swear to
disagreement
you.
on that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
I
says,
kinda
"What do you
knew when
ship
you
in?"
were-
And he's got the button ready. Like, are they going to say Gemini? Are they going to say?
I could see when you. I noticed when you. I knew what you were doing. I'm like, he sees the passer open downfield. I know where he's going. Let's get to the brand section. See how he did in time.
He knew where I was going. That's why I was leading him there. And that's how you guys know that we're a perfect partnership.
Gemini's
so,
good
yeah,
because
man.
you can buy in bulk. They let you buy a
Yeah.
lot of them. So if you know you need them, that's how you save money. I mean, those type of mailers
and
are
this-
offered a lot of different places.
Yeah, and
But-
that's what's wonderful, right? Because you can buy bulk, right? But then you're like, oh, looking at that number, right? And that's when you type in Geek Collective 10 at checkout, and you will get 10% off. Swear to God, you guys, it works
I
out.
just,
It works
it just
out.
went off of that screen and then brought it right back.
Love it.
No, man, I kid, but no, we love it. That's the reason why we love, because it's one of the only things that I love. You know, you just put a little bit of minimal effort into thinking about what the people are going to receive, right? Because if you don't do it the right way, it's going to come damaged, it's going to come ruined. I love to put my things on the walls, guys. Come on, people like to have these pristine. These are all 10 point, but like they're 9 5s and above. Like people love that, right? So put them in a nice, gorgeous Gemini mailer with some bubble wrap, and you're good. You're golden, and it'll get to them pristine and clean. So, but we do want to talk a little bit about our stuff. We want to talk a little bit about archetypes. Which is still live for, what is it, 3 more days, Ben? I think it's 3 more days. We are just about to unlock something. We're about a couple $100 away from unlocking this is, I told people, if we get to unlock this thing, I will turn this trading card into a glow in the dark trading card. Yes, I said blue in the dark. So we will send this. Yeah,
I'm glad you corrected it. Like, I think he's drunk.
No, I did say blue in the dark, because we have a print partner who prints these trading cards. It'll be, the cover will look exactly like it is shown here, but when you turn off the lights, it'll be glowing blue. So so make sure you guys help us unlock that 3rd card there, because then we're going to be able to send it off to the printer and get it turned to glow in the dark there.
Cool.
And then and we have these other really fun goals. If we can hit that before these 3 days are over, we'll definitely unlock all these other really fun stuff too. So make sure you guys are checking out this campaign. And like I said, this is all about creating the the creative process, helping it easier for you guys to dip your toe into this. And we also have some fun comics from people like the guys over who do Grandma Chainsaw and Horse in Hell. We have Ben is going to talk to us a little about his campaign here in a second, but we have a character from his IP is going to show up here, Ace Falcon. And so you're going to want to just really take a read to that one, because it's going to tie into his story that he's got live here in a little while, called Cobalt Crisis. Ben, please tell a little bit about Cobalt Crisis.
Okay. Cobalt Crisis is basically, it's going to be an 8-part miniseries. It's essentially as if Crisis on Infinite Earths had happened in the 1940s. So it's just something that came out of the golden age of comics. So we got all your big earth-shattering events, dimensions, all that craziness, but also kind of has that pulpy golden age comics feel. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The Kickstarter you're seeing now is in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, as are all the other books we're talking about here. But this is basically going to be a lead-in to the main book, and kind of set up some of the characters, Ace Falcon, who you saw, a few other ones, bring in some of the preview of the main book, but also kind of just some setup elements I think are going to be fun to introduce in a shorter book that just kind of gets you there. So head over to Kickstarter and jump on that pre-launch list. And like I said, that link is in the description, along with archetypes, along with Phenom and the Doodle Book.
Yeah, and you'll get to find out who Ace Falcon is in Archetypes, and get a little bit of a short story about him and what we're going to be getting in Cobalt Crisis. So definitely go check this one out. And then we chose Mother Wolf and Cubs as our main attraction here, which is from a new breakout creator who did Kamazot's comics and stuff like that. So this is kind of think about Wolf and Cub kind of, but with like La Llorona and like shape-shifting werewolves, right? So this is a really, really fun story. He's going to develop this into an actually full-length story after all the fun people. Like, this is actually happened because what's cool about this is we're going to show this and everybody really loved this story because of we saw all the people jumping on this story. He's going to now move forward with a full-length story with this, and we're going to help him build a campaign out of that as well. So it's really, really cool thing that everybody was able to contribute to this, because now we're going to be able to get this creator a full-length story out of this because people really loved it, and that's kind of what we're doing with this, right? So please, if you guys are able, back this one, back all these campaigns if you guys aren't already, if you know you're able to. Even grabbing, we have some $8 digital deluxe, and that'll get you all kinds of really great fun stuff, videos and downloadable templates and things of that nature. We'll even hook you up with some generic headers, so you don't even have to create those. You'll just pop them right into your Kickstarter campaign, and if you follow the guides that we'll have, and we'll get you guys set up and all that good stuff. So please check that out. You can do that at gatecollective.net/archetypes. It's live for 3 more days. And I didn't mention this. We have a Wizard homage because we love Wizard. This is our kind of tip of the hat to Wizard magazine. Benjamin Morse did this cover for us. And what we're going to do is we're going to have standard cover, which is no specialty covers, right? That's going to be on there as well. But we're also going to take this and create 50. We're going to have an embossed title. We're going to foil print it, and we're also going to have a really gorgeous varnish finish on this, and we're going to put that at $30 price point. There's only 50 of those available, so make sure you grab those. I don't know how many has been. I can't see, my camera's
like
on the way. Seven has been purchased, so there's only a handful left, so make sure you guys are going to get that. We're only going to print 50. So if you don't grab one, we obviously will have some extra later on, but please, but this is like the lowest that price is going to be right here on this campaign. Prices will go up after the campaign is over. So please make sure you guys are grabbing these. That's it for me. Ben and guys, thank you so much. Before we leave, Kevin, please let everybody know where they can find you, and we'll go through to Martin next. Frank, sure. Martin, the Mr. Frank Martin.
You got to rev them up. All right, so you gotta get it going. I
was telling them, had to rev them up there, buddy. Get ready.
Thank you guys for allowing me to come in here and talk about stuff. I really appreciate it. I do. And yeah, Doodlebook is still going. We just crossed the halfway point, so about 13 days left, and we also crossed the 50% threshold for funding. So that's cool. Still got some time to go. I'm literally on every single platform, and it is driving me insane. But yes, I'm on everything. Mr. Hinkle draws. So you'll see. Yeah, oh my goodness. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Patreon, DeviantArt, ArtStation, Threads, Blue Sky. I'm every single one of them. So
OnlyFans.
Hey. We're already threatening the cops. We don't need to add to the. We're good. But yeah, I'm on everything.
I think he only shared that link with you, Frank.
That's in the private chat.
Yeah, that's the Patreon Ultra Club.
Top tier. But yeah, I'm on all the places, and I post every day. I haven't missed a post in 3.5 years. I think I'm about to go insane.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna have to hire you for our social media guy. Because
no fooling. So I don't get into this too much, but before I dove into the world of being an artist, I was a marketing executive for the Lego Group. So I have lots of experience in social media management, community management.
So you have to be at it every day. Yep.
You have to. Yeah. I miss the days of having a team, though. It's not really fun when it's like Kevin,
Yep.
enjoy your coffee and make sure you do your rounds. No.
Yep, exactly. Frank, tell us a little bit about you and your height, your weight, and
I'm not going to do all that. I'm
all
at
right.
I'm at franktherewriter.com. That's the easiest way. Sign up for my mailing list to follow me. I'm at Frank the Writer on all my socials. And unlike Kevin, though, I've stepped significantly back from all my social media.
Bless you.
I post every once in a while. So, but I get to do more live streams like this and stuff. So, yeah, franktherewriter.com is the headquarters for all my jazz.
Fantastic. And Ben, tell her where they can find you.
You can find me here every week on Explain Yourself. If you're watching that there, you can see my channel and give that a like and subscribe. But other than that, you can find me at Benjamin W. Morse on Twitter. That's where I do most of my posting. And you can also search for We Are Scarlet Twilight or August Purgatory Underground on Facebook. We have groups, pages for those as well.
Fantastic. And you can find me at Joey Galvez 1984. That's everywhere as well. And you can find me on Geek Collective on Kickstarter and Joey Galvez on Kickstarter. We are running Archetypes, so make sure you guys are following us over there and checking that out. We are going to be once this campaign ends, we're going to actually have a really big announcement with our issue 2. We've chosen all 3 of our main attraction comic books. We are in the works of accepting 2 articles already. We have one already set in the bank for somebody to do another, so that's potentially 4 articles already landed down here for issue 2. We're gonna do a spooky season issue. We're also gonna do, and this is I'm telling everybody now here because you guys are special. We're gonna do a Fangoria magazine homage. And our pal Benjamin Morse is going to do the cover if he still is available, because everybody's taken him and hired him and made him super popular, so that I don't use him anymore. I don't like that. You guys got to stop. No, just keep hiring him. No, hire him some more. That's what we want him to keep working.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. I'm just jealous. But we're going to do a Fangoria magazine homage. We have a handful of people that we're looking to do. We're even looking to talk to somebody who actually writes for Fangoria magazine doing a column. So stay tuned for that one, and we're going to have a really big announcement on that, though. Thank you guys for watching, and we appreciate you for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. We have a handful of guests. Who do we have next week, Ben?
Oh, glad I have that open. I think we have Adam Barnhart, Jeff Ryder, Travis Gibb, and Madeline Holly Rosing.
So stay tuned. We're going to talk to them about some really great comics next week as well. So please, if you guys are not already subscribed, please, this is when I be cool and I say smash that bell, right? Is that what we do?
If you don't, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Is that what we do? Smash that bell. All right, guys.
You got to annihilate it. Annihilate that like button. Hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time. Guys, I just got the job. We'll see you next time.
There you go. Please. Put that outro.
You're triggering me when I watch YouTube videos with my kids.
But all the kids are paying attention. They all leaned in.
There you go. Man, please hit that beautiful outro.